Live with balanced news you can count on. This is News 4 at 4.
All right, this time of year, Christmas right around the corner, you're probably thinking about the poinsettia if you're thinking plants with its red, white, or pink flowers.
Have you ever heard of Christmas cactus? These plants can have some of the most spectacular blooms I've ever seen. Our 5-minute gardener, Debbie Mounts from Harlow Gardens, has all the information you need to successfully grow one of these.
Well, it is that time of the year again. It is the holiday season, and there are a number of plants that are traditionally known to be kind of holiday plants. And I'm going to talk to you today about one of them, which is called, commonly we know it as a Christmas cactus. It's also a zygo cactus, which is kind of an odd name, but that's what they call it. Anyway, I have a bunch of different ones here, and I'm going to give you a little information about these guys. A zygo cactus is what they call an epiphyte, and all that means is that in its native habitat, which is Central America, Central and parts of South America, in those very tropical regions, these guys live in the crotch of trees. So where one branch meets another one, they grow right there where a little bit of debris and such will gather, and then they just hang off of the trees. So they don't actually grow in soil. They grow right in the crotch of the trees. So that's what an epiphyte is. An epiphyte is something that grows on something else, attaches itself to another living plant, and that's these guys. Now these guys bloom at Christmas. Generally, you grow them all during the year. They'll grow during the year, and they stay green and lush, and then they trigger their bloom at Christmas. Now many people ask us, okay, so how do I get my Christmas cactus to bloom? And I'm going to give you a couple tips. In September, you want to start making sure that your Christmas cactus is in a room that has bright light during the day, but there are no lights turned on at night, because that little bit of darkness is going to help trigger the bloom. The other thing you want to make sure you do is you want to make sure and not overwater it. You actually want to starve it for water just a little bit. It likes to be really dry. Being really dry is one of the things that is going to help trigger that bloom. And I know that from personal experience. I just brought mine in from outside. It's been outside for about a month probably with almost no water. It's just full of buds. It's a good testimonial. Anyway, that's one of the ways to get these guys to bloom. And you can see the wide range of exquisite color that they come in. They can add color and life to any of your holiday celebrations.
All right, well, Debbie's joining us now. And Debbie, you know, we were just talking, it doesn't really look like a cactus. Why is it called a cactus?
Somebody along the way just called it a cactus because it kind of has that dry, succulent look to it, but it's not really a cactus. It's actually a zygo, and which is a family all unto itself. And as I said, it's an epiphyte. It's just like orchids. Many of the orchids are epiphytes. They also live in trees. Bromeliads and orchids and all of those kind of exotic plants are epiphytes. Now this guy talked on the segment about how to get it to bloom and such. Then the question is, after it's done blooming, what do I do with it, and does it ever bloom again? Now, in ideal conditions, sometimes you can get them to bloom again during the year, but I wouldn't count on that because Arizona is not generally the ideal conditions for these. But you want to start fertilizing them really well in February, March, during the real growing season, and do that all through their growing season. In the fall, you only fertilize them in October, right before you're beginning of October, right when you're starting to kind of put the darkness on them and pull the water away. Just give them one little hit of fertilizer, and then don't fertilize them again until the spring when they're really starting their big growth spurt.
You talked about you left yours outside and you forgot about it.
I
You
did.
brought it back in. Indoor, outdoor plant, does it matter?
It would be fine in the shade outdoors in the summer. It would thrive in the shade outdoors in the summer, but it's very cold tender. I mean, this is a tropical, this is a jungle plant. So this is one that really needs to be protected from the cold in the winter. So in the winter, it definitely needs to be inside in a good bright light.
And do they come in other colors, Debbie?
There's about 6 or 7 different colors. We didn't have any of the bright fuchsia one, which is of course the most popular one. But they range in white to this kind of a soft apricot to the brilliant fuchsia flower.
They're absolutely gorgeous.
They're spectacular.
And will they get much bigger? I
They
suspect
get
they'll
a whole
get
lot
huge.
bigger. They get huge, actually, eventually. I was telling you earlier that there is a gentleman came in about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, with one whose soil mound was this big around. The plant was this big. It had belonged to his grandmother.
Wow.
And he was in his 60s, and he asked us, he was terrified to divide it himself. He asked us to divide it for him. But they are one of those plants that your grandma, you remember seeing at your grandma's house, and it gets passed down to other, cut up and divided and passed around.
When these flowers die, do you start trimming them off?
They'll just drop off on their own, really. It's an easy thing to do. And then the plant grows. It'll get much bigger during the growing season. And then, so this will be probably about, half again the size it is, maybe double by next fall. And you can always cut it back if you want it to thicken up, and that's when you do your triggering of the bloom thing.
Oh, they're beautiful. Thanks so much.
You're very welcome.
Too much work,
Lots
though.
of good.
A lot of work. Thanks for coming in, Debbie. Appreciate it.